All right, welcome to today's show. So big news, China just flipped. No more 100% tariffs, which is going to be good news for the markets. We also have some news coming in that there are some big moves with financial institutions getting onto the blockchain. I'm going to share that today and why this is bullish for MSTR, BM&R, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And then additionally, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, talks about his meetings in the Senate and with the House of Representatives and why this is good for crypto. So all of this in today's show, not tax advice, not financial advice, not legal advice. If you want to learn about my 5% per week trading strategy where I'm making 5% per week and you want a copy of my free book, you can download it down below on Money Game and get all kinds of detail about MSTR, BM&R, Ethereum, Bitcoin, inflation, what's happening with the blockchain, and also my trading strategy. Okay, let's jump into today's show. It's exciting. This could be a big week. We've been earning this big week. Let's face it. Big news this morning. Scott Bessent just announced that the U.S. and China have reached a very substantial framework for a new trade deal. And that's what he says, very substantial framework. That means the U.S. is not moving forward with 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. And China is holding off on that rare earth export restrictions that they've had, which means, these cool screens and things on your iPhone, a lot of the rare earth minerals are used to create products and stuff in the United States, or at least create products that we use in the United States. And now this is very good news. China also agrees to buy more of U.S. farm goods as part of the actual agreement. And some of the betting markets show that there's only about a 5% chance of those full tariffs ever happening that Trump was talking about. So as you know, we lost about $19 billion from the crypto market with leverage positions that were in there a couple weeks ago, and we have not recovered yet, but we're looking a little bit bullish here on Sunday with Bitcoin going up. This news just came out today on October 26th for China and the US, and the world's calming down. And when trade fears drop, risk assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BM&R, MSTR tend to go up. Now, also good news, October 29th, there's a high likelihood that we're going to have the Fed cut interest rates again, 25 basis points. So that is additionally good news, because typically when that happens, that is good for crypto. And then I'm going to talk right now about JP Morgan. As you know, JP Morgan was not a fan of Bitcoin or the blockchain in recent years, in previous years. And a few years ago, they basically said it was a Ponzi scheme. They called it dangerous. They called it a scam. But now they're letting big investors use Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. So that's news. And that also means that clients can borrow money using crypto as backing. So this is big news for the space. This is news that's been released, recently in the previous weeks. But they're not fighting Bitcoin anymore. They're using it, and they went from biggest skeptic to actually now in the game. And JP Morgan even built its own stablecoin called JPM coin, now used for real payments between banks and corporations. So they went from calling crypto a joke to now they're literally building the plumbing for it. So if you followed any of my previous videos, you'll know that I've been talking a lot about the blockchain and how large institutions are moving onto the blockchain, and why this is good for Ethereum, why this is good for BM&R, because I'm a big fan of BM&R, and I'm also invested in BM&R. And so it's interesting to see what's happening right now in the marketplace, where you see even the skeptics like JP Morgan getting in the game and building on the blockchain. All right, there's more news on this. If you look at Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, he just met with the U.S. Senate. He's helping push a new law, to where the law is going to get signed, called the Clarity Act. So basically it has to go through the Senate, and then it has to go through the House of Representatives. You have the House of Representatives, which is represents the smaller districts and areas. There's 435 members in that. Then you also have the Senate. There's 100 members in that, 2 for each state. And so basically House of Representatives comes with the idea, the Senate and the House of Representatives have to agree on it. And then when they agree on it, they send it to the president to sign it into law. So this is really good news coming in, because we're looking for greater market structure legislation for crypto. And so what does that mean? It's like a rule book for the crypto game. And so we know when regulation comes in and market structure comes in, that's actually a good thing for crypto. So that's good news. Okay. And that's going to make the rules more fair for trading crypto, which is super, super good news. Okay. And so the big decision is like deciding who the referee is going to be. So when you look, like, you have the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, and then you have the CFTC. And so when you look at the CFTC, that stands for the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. It's one of the referees of money in America. They make sure tradings in things like gold or oil, and also Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's a commodity. They're making sure that it's not rigged. Okay. So Brian, CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, says both Republicans and Democrats are 90% done with the deal. And once they finish, it goes to the president to sign it into law. That's when crypto officially becomes part of the financial system. You got big banks that are fighting stablecoin rewards right now. Brian also mentioned that the big banks are trying to kind of ban rewards on stablecoins. Why? Because stablecoins let people earn interest without using the banks. And so that means money could move out of the banking system. So, of course, you have the big banks, you have Wall Street, who is moving on to the blockchain, but you have, this opening up a whole new marketplace. And so if you're the banks and you want to control the money and you want to control the dollars, and all of a sudden stable coins are coming into the marketplace and they're giving people rewards for it, you have a chance of losing money from your banking system going into the stablecoin market. So this means that money could move out of the banking system. So it's kind of like, if your friend gave you free candy and the candy store said, no, you can only buy my candy, right? The banks don't want to lose control. So Morgan Stanley opens the door. It just told its advisors, this is about a month ago, told its advisors, let your clients put part of their portfolio in crypto. So now you have even regular investors can buy Bitcoin. They can buy Ethereum through the bank. Aggressive clients can hold up to 4% in their portfolio. More moderate clients can hold about 2% in their portfolio. So this is going to keep, more flows coming into the crypto marketplace. This is huge when large institutions get behind it and their clients are getting into it because they're now pushing it. And the whole idea with Morgan Stanley is that they're going to keep their clientele updated on the crypto market and allow them to invest in crypto now. So this is a big green light from Wall Street coming in. Again, we need to be looking at these signs. These are very, very, very bullish signs of what's happening in the marketplace right now. And also, this is a very bullish sign for BM&R. As you know, BM&R is the largest ETH Treasury company. They hold something like $13 billion worth of Ethereum right now, over 2.7% of the supply. They're probably going to buy some more this week. MSTR just announced that they bought some this week. Saylor put up his little orange dot tracker and added to it. So we're going to hear about a buy that they recently made, maybe over the weekend or Friday. And we'll hear about that Monday morning. So we see that there's bullish news in the marketplace right now. We see that even the fact that it's been a rough month. It hasn't been the October that we expected it to be, but we are seeing massive changes happen because you're having Wall Street adopting the blockchain now. And it's just, there's an overwhelming amount of data of the number of people or the number of institutions that are moving onto the blockchain. And the simple idea of it is very, very basic for one to understand. I mean, if you're going to compete in a marketplace and you have two marketplaces, you have one marketplace A where for transactions to settle, it takes 2 days. And you have marketplace B where transactions settle in seconds. Which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose marketplace B. Marketplace A is Wall Street and traditional banks right now, 2 days of settlement. Marketplace B is the crypto marketplace and the blockchain. Number two, if you're a financial institution and you have an option as marketplace A, traditional markets, and your option is, I'm going to stay in the traditional marketplace and I'm only going to get clients in my jurisdiction, or you have an option to move into marketplace B, where you can go across borders, less jurisdiction restrictions, and you can literally make the entire world your clientele. Would you choose to stay in your local marketplace, or would you make the entire world your potential clientele? That's the blockchain, because it removes the restrictions of the borders. Number three, if you're marketplace A, traditional finance, and you have an option to join marketplace B, the crypto marketplace, and you are able now to allow your customers to buy from you 24/7, 365, or you could just stay in marketplace A and have your clientele just buy from you 10 hours a day. What would you choose? So this becomes a common sense play, and this becomes the speed and the ability of institutions to move onto the blockchain is essential here. Because those who move on to the blockchain will start to accumulate a massive amount of the market share. And so the indicators are there that this is the future. And if you're marketplace A and you're sitting on a really slow, technology that's old and antiquated, which is traditional finance and Wall Street, and you have a chance to move on to a superior technology like the blockchain, where every transaction that's ever made is stored, it can't be changed. So it's more secure, it's more transparent, which clientele and customers are demanding, and it's just a better technology overall. Would you stay with the outdated technology or move to the new technology? Now, you might fight and put up a stink like the banks are of like, we don't want you to earn rewards on stable coins because they're threatened by the competition. So if they're threatened by the competition, they're either going to try and squash the competition, or they're going to realize that all these facts that I laid out, that any logical person, any sane person would go, I have to move to marketplace B because I'm going to be irrelevant in 5 to 10 years if I don't. And that's the game that's being played right now. So to not be bullish about the marketplace and the future of crypto and the blockchain, who knows what's going to happen over the next 2 months? I still think we're going to have a run over the next 2 months. But to not be bullish about this future of blockchain technology, of crypto, with all the regulation that's going in place, with the current president that's fully supportive of it, with people like the CEO of Brian Armstrong, who's on sitting with the Senate right now having conversations, and they're 90% there, and they're about to pass the bill when they send it to the president for better legislation of market structure. Every single indicator that I'm looking at in terms of Wall Street and the big news that's out is pointing in the right direction. And even the skeptics of Wall Street have turned to, I better get in the game. So this is the future. The future is here now, and we are in the game, man. And this is exciting as all can be. Again, if you don't understand, if you're new to this channel or you're new to Bitcoin, Ethereum, or BM&R and MSTR, I want to encourage you to get my book down below. It literally walks through everything in a 5th grade level. It explains all the different terminology that people are talking about. It literally walks through the traditional finance world and the new world of crypto. And it gets into what is actually happening, so you can understand and have the base understanding of what's happening in the new world of finance, which is so important. It's a great book. I spent a lot of time on it. I hope you get it. Give it to a friend as well. You can get it for free down below. Also, I'll send you a video on my trading strategy where I'm making 5% a week, which is very important because even in the down markets where people start to lose faith, I am trading with my portfolio every single day, and I'm making 5% at a minimum on average per week. So you'll hear the terminology of buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, if I'm trading when the market's down, I'm picking up shares nonstop every single day because I'm winning in my trading 14 out of the last 15 weeks with the one stock BM&R that I'm trading right now. Okay. So you can win in down markets. You can win in up markets. And I'm sharing this because the long-term bullishness that one would have in the blockchain, for me, why would I not want to gobble up as much BM&R as possible, as much MSTR as possible, as much Bitcoin as possible, as much Ethereum as possible? And these are the leaders in the marketplace right now. There's great technology out there. You have chains like Solana, which is a phenomenal technology, but you hear the news and you hear the talk of more and more of Wall Street is building on Ethereum, and the stablecoin market is on Ethereum. Not all of it, but the majority of it is. Okay, so we just have a big push going on. It's big news, and it's freaking exciting stuff that's happening. And there's just all kinds of good news coming out. On September 22nd, there was a letter sent. Members of the House of Representatives sent a letter to Paul Atkins, who's the head of the SEC. They said President Trump wants crypto in 401k plans quickly. So you probably remember that news coming out a while ago. This follows Trump's executive order that he put out on August 7th that he wants this done, which would open the door for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto assets to be added to retirement accounts. So that means soon people could own, Bitcoin inside their 401k plans and other crypto inside of their 401k plans. Some people can do it right now with ETFs and things like that. But this goes the same way for a huge opportunity of more money to flow into crypto, which is great. Okay. Europe joins the game. If you didn't hear my previous video, like a couple videos ago, I said that the European Central Bank said it's exploring a euro-based stablecoin, possibly built on Ethereum or Solana. That means Europe wants its own digital euro using the same blockchain technology that crypto companies are already using. So they move forward to make the euro one of the first major world currencies running on the public blockchain rails. We don't know if that's going to happen yet, but this is interesting and powerful news. Let's talk about news on Alipay. That's China's version of PayPal, owned by Alibaba. October 14th, 2025, they launched a new layer 2 blockchain on Ethereum called Jove. It can handle up to 100,000 transactions per second. And this is really the big point of the blockchain. When you look at the speed of the blockchain and why so many people are moving to the blockchain, it just is a superior technology. It's just not even close. Okay. So it's not even a close second to, like, when you look at, actually, I should say this. It is the first, because the blockchain is superior and it's faster. And when you look at Wall Street, traditional finance, it's not even a close second. It's so much slower compared to the blockchain. So when you look at smart companies and multi-billion-dollar and trillion-dollar companies of what they're doing, the blockchain technology, the layer 2 blockchain on Ethereum called Jove that Alipay is getting involved with, it's gonna be able to handle 100,000 transactions per second, and they have 1.4 billion users. So that's one in every 6 people on Earth. That's the access of their customer base. So you don't think there's going to be adoption and more people moving onto the blockchain? I mean, come on, this is huge. They're building right on top of Ethereum, So that's proof that the world's biggest companies are now building on crypto. Make sense? So now you have Ethereum. What makes Ethereum powerful? We know Bitcoin's extraordinarily powerful. Ethereum's been getting a lot of news recently, so let's talk about Ethereum. When you look at BM&R, you've probably heard about the conversations with BM&R and the talk that BM&R not only owns the most Ethereum on the planet, but BM&R also may eventually stake their Ethereum. So when they have $13 billion worth of Ethereum approximately, which is over 2.7% of the supply, and one day they decide to stake their Ethereum, they might get a 3 to 4% staking yield for Ethereum. So that means that on top of the valuation that BM&R is getting right now, because you've got Tom Lee, the fearless leader, you've got, and also, by the way, I love how Tom Lee and Saylor are really working together. They're very supportive of each other. They're friends. They're very in admiration of each other, sharing good comments about each other's strategies and who they are and what they're doing. And so you look at the complementary nature of Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two go together. It's not like a competition of who's going to win first. It's like the two complement each other. You need Bitcoin because it's digital gold, and you need Ethereum because it's like this digital city where all kinds of financial applications are going to be built on top of it, so business can be transacted and you can move billions and billions and trillions of dollars on the blockchain in seconds, right? So this is exciting stuff, and so I love to see how these two are working together. Now, BM&R, if they decide to stake in the future and stake 13 billion worth of Ethereum, which we know is going to grow to 20 billion and then 30 billion, and then by early January, it's possible, maybe January, February, that BM&R has somewhere around $40 billion worth of Ethereum. That could be like a 3x from here in terms of their Ethereum stack. They're going to keep stacking, we know. It's very possible that they get to 5% of the supply coming up soon in the next 3 to 4 months, because in 4 months, they've already gotten 2.7% of the supply. And then if we hit a bull run, there's going to be a lot more demand for BM&R. Their MNAV will probably go up, which means right now it's about 1.34, which, people who are investing in the stock are willing to pay a 34% premium for the stock. But ultimately, when we hit a bull run, that MNAV is going to go up. And so you're going to see the valuation of the stock go up. And then when the stock goes up, they're going to issue more shares in the marketplace and they're going to buy more Ethereum. So they're going to stack and stack and stack even harder. So when you look at BM&R stacking right now, where it hasn't been a bullish marketplace right now, and if we do go into a bull run where we start running in November and even this week and December and into 2026, how big can BM&R's treasury grow? Hugely. And then they start staking it, and now they have an income coming in of $400 million a year, or $500 million, or eventually $1 billion in the future. And now the company gets even more valuable. So when you look at staking, just to break it down so you understand what staking is, Ethereum runs on something called proof of stake. That means people lock up Ethereum to help keep the network safe. So when you stake ETH, your coins are combined with others in a staking pool for the most part. Most people do it in a staking pool. And that money helps fund validator computers that actually run the network. So validators are real computers that, number one, they check transactions to make sure they're real and valid. Number two, they group them into blocks, like pages on a record book. So when transactions are done, they group them into a block and they go onto the blockchain. The blockchain, the definition for me is really simple. Like you have a block means ledger. And so that's where the numbers get stored. And then chain, you have a chain of ledgers. Pretty simple, right? Just like when you open up your bank account and you look at your bank account and you see like a ledger, like statement of, transactions on it. Well, on the blockchain, there's a statement of transactions on there. That's called a ledger. That's the block. Blockchain, a chain of blocks. That's the blockchain, right? That's the technology. And then they get added to the blockchain forever, so no one can change them. And that's the most powerful part of the technology that's so transparent that it's going to become even more popular in the future because people want transparency. And more where you have what's happening in the marketplace with AI and the fact that, you have AI evolving more and more. There's so much being invested in the United States into infrastructure and data centers for AI. There's so many companies that are being invested in for AI. And ultimately, AI is going to dominate the airwaves as it is right now and grow and grow and grow and grow. So on the blockchain, you're going to want to have proof of human. Hence the technology by Sam Altman, WorldCoin, that actually scans your iris and actually proves that you're a real human. So all these types of things coming into the future are going to be more important in terms of technology being more advanced because AI is getting more advanced. So the idea that one could get hacked or one could get impersonated, all that's real. Do you really want AI in a world with traditional finance that settles transactions in 2 days? Do you really think that traditional finance will be safe moving into the future? Hell no. You don't want some antiquated, outdated technology. Even SWIFT, if you look at the SWIFT network, $11 trillion of payments go through the SWIFT network. The SWIFT network is basically a message that sends from bank A to bank B. So when a transaction takes place, SWIFT sends a message to say, hey, we're sending a transaction. Right? Transaction is coming from the bank A to bank B. So you have these middlemen involved, bank A, bank B, SWIFT network, and you have this janky thing that's going on that is nowhere near the sophistication of the technology that's out in the marketplace. Traditional finance and the traditional banking system must adapt. I'm not saying they're dead because they have too much money and they're too powerful, but they're waking up from their conservative nature. Blockchain's not this. Blockchain doesn't work. Bitcoin's too risky. Ethereum's too risky. All of a sudden, when it's in their favor and they have to move on Ethereum or they have to move on Solana, they have to move because their technology is old. It's snail freaking mail, dude. So there's no choice in the matter right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you have to go where the smart money's going and where the speed and the technology is going. It is on the blockchain and Wall Street is following suit freaking fast, man. Fast. So we couldn't be in a better place in a better time right now for what's happening with the adoption of crypto in the marketplace. But right now it's sitting with the Senate and the House right now. The bill's almost passed. It's going to be signed by Trump. We're going to have real market structure legislation going on. This is great. This is huge, man. Huge, right? So again, back to proof of stake. That's basically what it is on the Ethereum network, proof of stake. It's synonymous like validators in concept. Validators are similar to what miners are on the blockchain for Bitcoin. Okay. All right. So that's exciting news for BM&R, exciting for Ethereum, exciting for crypto, bullish. Everything I've been sharing is bullish for BM&R. It's bullish for Bitcoin. It's bullish for strategy. And it's very, very cool. Okay. You also look at tokenization that's happening in the marketplace. I mean, this is just the big news that's going on right now. We all know Bitcoin's king and Bitcoin's winning and it's digital gold. But to look at like what's happening with these large, massive industries that are springing up on the blockchain, like real estate. If you look at commercial real estate, it's over $22 trillion worth of value. So when that market starts getting tokenized, which means you're going to have property shares. You're turning property shares into digital tokens on the blockchain. So this is going to be big, man. When you really think about this, like you can take real estate, you can chop it up into little pieces, you can put it in a token, you can throw it on Ethereum, And you can have people now investing in commercial real estate and just buying little pieces of it. What kind of opportunity does this open up in the world for people who can't go out and get a loan and buy into commercial real estate? For 90-something% of the population who would never do this, who would never think of it. Now they have an opportunity because real estate is being tokenized right now as we speak and put on the blockchain. So you could go on your phone and then you could go, I want to buy some commercial real estate, and go buy a token. Come on, man. Is this not like the most superior technology out there in the marketplace? Like it's like, well, AI, you make a case for AI, but yeah, it's superior. It's kicking ass, right? So that is exciting. It'll open the door for everyday people to own small pieces of big assets. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So extremely bullish for Ethereum, extremely bullish for blockchain technology, and it's super, super good. All right. So there's a lot less Ethereum available in the marketplace now. It means more scarcity, higher potential value. And if you look at the number of companies that are moving onto the blockchain, whether it's Ethereum or they're just moving onto the blockchain, you've got Walmart. It's moving into crypto payments through its fintech arm called OnePay. You look at the number of customers on Walmart. There's millions and millions and millions of customers in Walmart. Amazon's exploring blockchain payment rails for its seller network. Japan plans to potentially classify Ethereum now as a financial product. So that's big news with Japan. And then Robinhood is already tokenized, over 500 US stocks on a layer 2, which is, huge. So now you can go on Robinhood and you have different financial stocks that are now on the blockchain and they're becoming tokenized too. Bank of America recently called Ethereum the new stablecoin rail, and Wall Street for their JPM coin. So Wall Street has JP Morgan. JP Morgan now has a coin as well, and it's being built directly on the blockchain. Okay. So big news happening in the marketplace. I'm just going to give you a little words of wisdom from Tom Lee about MSTR and Michael Saylor. I think this is pretty cool just to see how these two are working together, to see how they have an affinity for each other, which is pretty awesome, and to see how they're building together in the marketplace. There was a recent talk where Saylor gave on stage and he was talking about Tom Lee, and he said months ago, Tom Lee's always had a voice, but Tom Lee's voice in the Ethereum space and now with BM&R and in the crypto marketplace is one of the most heard voices in that area. And then you also have Tom Lee, who recently said in a video, I think weeks or maybe a month back, he said in a recent interview, he said, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, he said Michael Saylor's MSTR could become the largest company in the stock market. And of course, we're not looking at $1 million Bitcoin this year, but in the future, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, Strategy could become one of the most valuable stocks in the marketplace. And he had mentioned that it's pretty cool that if you look at how Strategy is valued, it's not judged by its GAAP net income, and that's just the official profit under accounting rules. So it's not judged by that. It's judged by its balance sheet. So it's judged by the Bitcoin that it owns. And that's not a new thing, Tom Lee says, and he gives the metaphor and example of ExxonMobil was once valued mostly on the oil that it held, not its income. So when you look at Strategy doesn't have its income per se because it has Bitcoin on its balance sheet. And ExxonMobil was not valued by the income that it made. It was valued based on the oil that it held. So this is like kind of a digital oil company built on digital gold now with MSTR. So it's exciting. Saylor just announced that they bought some more Bitcoin. So we'll hear what it is tomorrow. And there's just good news coming in the marketplace right now for crypto, which is exciting. So a little recap. If you're just joining us, I'll give you the 120-second recap. Okay. Number one, China just flipped. So there is some type of trade agreement going into place. There is Scott Bessent said that that 100% tariff is not going into effect. And so there's a new trade deal being done between China and the U.S. just announced actually this morning. So that's good news. Number two, Brian Armstrong. He's up in Washington, D.C. He's with the Senate. He's with the House of Representatives. They're like 90% in agreement. So that means there's going to be market structure legislation now to where the rules of crypto are going to be clear. It's going to go to Trump. He's going to sign the bill. and we're going to be moving forward with that, which is cool. We've also got major players building on the blockchain. From Amazon's looking at doing it. We have Alipay, which is the equivalent of PayPal for Alibaba. We've got JP Morgan, who was the biggest skeptic, now going onto the blockchain. You have so much institutional adoption moving towards the blockchain now, so that's bullish news as well. And then, of course, we've got Strategy and BM&R continuing to stack. We know that the MNAV for these companies has been down, particularly for Strategy has been way down. If the sentiment turns bullish, because it looks like we're going to get another interest rate cut on Wednesday, October 29th, 25 basis points, there's a 90% likelihood of that. If that happens, we get an interest rate cut. We have all this good institutional adoption news coming in. We got the trade, 100% tariffs on China not going to happen now at this point based on Bessent's announcement. It could create bullish momentum, and maybe we could have a finish to October that could be positive versus the nightmare that we've been waking up to for the last 3 weeks. Let's not sugarcoat it. It hasn't been fun. And so this could be a turn for the better, and we could potentially get our bull run in November and December. We also know that the market structure has changed. We are in a new place right now with institutional adoption coming in, with the ETFs being in place, with this many companies moving onto the blockchain now. We could extend this out into 2026, and there could be a continued run into 2026. It could be delayed where it doesn't start to 2026. I tend to think that we're going to have some bullish momentum in the last 2 months of the year. But the structure has changed, and I think there's a big debate now on YouTube, and it's in a spirited debate of like, is the 4-year cycle dead? And are we moving just into a new world? And we are in a new world. We did not have this 4 years ago during the bull run. When I was sitting through it, there was lots of retail, not sitting through it, I was heavily invested in it. Lots of retail in the game. There's still retail in the game, but this has now become an institutional marketplace. And it's a little bit slower for the big money to move in. You know, they got to make major changes in their infrastructure, major changes in their plans. But the fact that this is a superior technology, the fact that so many new companies are adopting blockchain technology, all the other companies are going to fall in line and get in the game because they have to stay relevant 5-10 years into the future and to make more money. And we know Wall Street's about that for sure. So that's the game. I hope it serves you. I hope you're excited about some of this news that just came out. I'm excited because, you know, it's been up in the air, and hopefully the news stays strong with the China and Trump, I should say the China and the U.S. agreement that just came across, where we're not going to have the 100% tariffs. Hopefully it doesn't get reverted and something crazy doesn't happen last minute, and all of a sudden the markets get fear again and they drop. And that's real too, because we know what can happen and we know what has happened prior. But the indicators for this week actually look good. And you see that Bitcoin is running up right now at 113,600. Ethereum's at $4,064. So I think we should have a strong Monday as we open up tomorrow. And we could have a good week. And maybe we end October with some good news. That would be good. I hope that happens for all of you. I hope it happens for your families. I wish you continued prosperity. I want you to flourish and win. I also want to give you a good free copy of my book down below. Somebody in the chat just said I'm a small investor here, but thank you. If you're a small investor, if you're a new investor, you're a big investor, I really broke down in my book and took the time to explain some things. I'm going to go through just a few points that I think are very important here to inspire you to go get this book. I'm also going to send you a video of my trading strategy of how I'm trading and making money when the markets are down. But mostly the reason why I wrote the book, just to give you a little piece of this and the important information in there, I wrote the book because I started out in the financial services industry at 21. And at 21 years old, I was in the classroom asking questions of like, why are the management fees in these funds so high? And I don't understand why some are 1% and some are 2%. It makes no sense to me. And I would go back and like crunch the numbers in the spreadsheets to go like, this doesn't make any sense. And why would I ever want to put my money in a 401k plan? Why? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, why? You're not giving me a tax deduction. You're giving me a tax delay. Like, you actually give me a deduction now and then you take my taxes back in the future. It's not a tax deduction. It's a delay. Why would I do that? So I was asking all these questions, and we were selling 401k plans and life insurance and annuities and mutual funds and all that stuff. And eventually I became a partner of that firm. I was one of the top 5 partners out of 500 partners in the whole world. And I ran the organization with my business partner, and I learned so much about the inside, and I didn't like some of the things that I was seeing. So I went and sought out some new systems outside of the company at 22 years old, because I didn't believe in traditional finance fully. I was like, there's got to be a better way for people to win. And the other question I had was, I don't get it. Like, why would 10 or 12% rates of return even be good? Like, my goal was to get rich. My goal was to get rich then. That was it. At 21 years old, I was like, I want to get rich. You know, as I've evolved later into life, my goal has been to help people and really help people advance and help people go free financially. And I have a whole nother company. I got 60,000 clients around the globe that we help grow their businesses, selling, marketing, speaking, all of it. But I've been on a mission for the last decade or so or more on this side of finance and business. But prior to that, I was 21 asking all these questions like, I don't want 12%. That's garbage. So at 22, I went on the journey to find the answers. And I started really digging in and starting to see how money worked. And that's when I started exploring inflation and taxes and management fees, and then looking at like the actual rate of return on one's money when they earn 12% with taxes, inflation, management fees, and then asset inflation too. All of this is in the book. I break it down. When I started to look at that, I'm like, a 12% rate of return is closer to 4%, maybe 3% if you're lucky. Then you start to factor in debt, people's debt. So it's like, you could sit here and be like, I have $100,000 invested in the market and I'm making 12%, but then you're paying out $50,000 of debt at 6%, and the rate of return on all your money is not 10 or 12%. It's actually less the debt, right? And we know the percentage of households in the world that actually have debt. So like, you can't, like, it's almost mathematically impossible for somebody to get ahead with 10 to 12% rates of return, given the current state of the system, with the amount of money printing, the amount of inflation, the amount of asset inflation, like houses going up, colleges going up, all of that, with management fees that people are being charged. I literally like called my parents on the phone. I was like, listen, I need to look at your stuff, and I need to look inside and look at the management fees and take a look at what's going on with you. I just sent that to them yesterday. So it's just something that like you have to take a look at in lots of 401k plans, because you have these fees that are in them. You need to go look at your 401k plan and see what your fees are. You need to go look at the funds and see what the fees are, you know, and actually see how that's affecting your wealth. So I was fascinated by this stuff at a young age and learning this stuff at 22 years old. You know, I'm now in my 40s. It's my birthday tomorrow, actually. And so when you look at it, you have to understand the game. And there's one thing that I've learned. That's why I want you to get my book down below and snag it, because all of this is in there. But there's one thing that I've learned along the way, particularly in if you want to spread the word and you want to sell to people, disseminate to people, indoctrinate people. You want to get your family in a better place, helping them understand Bitcoin, helping them understand crypto, because they have to if they're going to get in a better place in the future. And so if you want to help them get in a better place, you can't just run in and say, buy Bitcoin. I know this. My stepfather now owns Bitcoin. My brother and I got him in when it was $15,000. Okay. My brother and I got into Bitcoin when it was $3,000. Okay. And then I called my brother in 2020 when it was 7,000. I was like, I'm going all in. So my brother and I have been heavily invested in this together. And both of us together orange pilled my stepfather. But the way that you orange pill somebody to get Bitcoin or do it is you don't lead with the solution. I know this by selling, you know, I've got 60,000 buyers of my online courses around the world. I've sold nearly 50 million in courses and programs across the world. And I know something about sales. And the number one thing is you have to relate to the problem that somebody's facing first. And so in my book, Money Game, you can share it with a friend, share it with a family member. I'm giving it to you for free. It actually highlights the problem that people are sitting in. Now, we know when we're sitting here, we're like Bitcoin or we're like Ethereum, we're interested in crypto, or some of you are invested in it. But the rest of the world is not there yet. So what you have to do is you have to show them the actual problem. You have to show them how 10 to 12% rates of return are more like 3%. You have to show them with debt, they're probably having a negative rate of return. You have to show them how the Fed actually works. Like, do you know how the Fed works? Most people don't know. It's in my book. Like, I break down how the Fed works. How does a money printer actually work? We sit here all day long, and on October 29th, you're going to wait for Jerome Powell to come on the news, and he's going to say, hey, we're deciding to cut interest rates, blah, blah. How does the system work? One should know this. And if you don't know it, you're effect. Now you can be like, well, what can I do to change the Fed? What can I do? Well, the first thing is you can always do something about it, right? And the thing you can do about it is, one, make the right decisions for yourself based on correct data. And if one doesn't know how the money printer works in the United States and the rest of the world, then one doesn't have fully correct data. So if one is in a confusion, how do they actually make a right decision? You got to get people out of the confusion and understanding the true correct data. If you don't, one has confusions and they continue to make decisions on top of a confusion, and it doesn't go so well for them. Make sense? And also, it's not just about, for me, it's never just been about buying Bitcoin or buying Ethereum or buying BM&R or buying MSTR. The number one thing has been about understanding it first. Why? Because if I understand it, I have knowledge. If I have knowledge, I have confidence. If I have confidence, I'm in control. And when I'm in control, I can make bigger, better decisions for my future. And when I'm in control, I don't get freaked when things happen in the market. Doesn't mean I don't have an emotional reaction. I'm like, shit, this is happening today. I don't get freaked. And I find alternative ways like trading, which I've been doing very successfully, 93% win ratio. I'm kicking ass doing it. How am I doing it? Well, when the market goes down, I'm cause over my money because I can add to my shares by trading on a daily basis. So this is the fundamental. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to go out there and trade, but I am saying that everybody needs the fundamental knowledge of what's going on in the current state of the economy. That is in my book, Money Game. And I think every person on the face of the planet, I'm giving away for free right now, should have it because they should understand the current problem. And then the introduction of Bitcoin and strategy and BM&R and Ethereum and all these different aspects of the blockchain are in there. Once it's like, in sales, it's like the pain point has to be there. And the pain point has to be highlighted to go, hey, I totally understand your pain point. Okay. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to sugarcoat it for you. If this is true and you're in the pain and you're in the problem and you're kind of mildly like, I have a little bit of a problem. No, you stick the knife in to go, hey, you got a hell of a problem. You're going to bleed to death if you don't make a move. Because you got to give truth. You can't sugarcoat the problem. Problem ain't good. We're $37 trillion in debt in the United States. All right. If you want to look at inflation, look at Argentina in the previous years. They had years where they had 100% inflation. If you think money printing only exists in the U.S., it's all over every one of your countries that are listening right now. Okay. Quite frankly, it's a disgusting mess. It is. Okay. It's a disgusting mess. So we finally have some real technologies with some protocols and some rules that the rules can't be bent inside the blockchain. Now, they can be manipulated and all the things we're seeing that Wall Street's doing, but you're not going to bend the rules of the blockchain in terms of Bitcoin and the issuing supply of it. So this creates some safe haven for people to go, finally, like no more 2008 bank crisis. I mean, did you know that Satoshi, when he actually created Bitcoin, in the code, there was a message that he wrote to the banks, and he wrote to the banks of London, in the counselor of whatever it was, I'll look it up, but he wrote a message and there was coded in the first block. And it was a message of 2008 should never happen again with the banking crisis. So this is the new world. We're in the new world. Those of you who are here are so much more advanced than 90-something% of the public out there. And one could go on to say 98% of the public, because you're getting knowledge. And, you can walk around and sit there and you can talk to your Uber driver all day long, or your friend who's like, yeah, I got some Bitcoin right now. But do they understand Bitcoin? Or I got MSTR. Do you understand MSTR? If you understood MSTR, this guy is one of the most brilliant geniuses walking the face of the planet right now, Sailor. Literally. One of the most brilliant moves ever made in the history of finance was done by Michael Saylor. One of the most brilliant moves ever. Now, Tom is the GOAT right now with Ethereum, but who paved the way, man, in terms of corporations and digital asset treasury companies? Michael Saylor did. And this is just the beginning. He's getting slack for his company and the stock being at $290. I mean, let's not forget, when I bought it in 2024 February, it was $78 when I bought it. Now I know people have bought in later and they're wanting it to come back. And if you look at the long-term time horizon of this company's strategy, it's going to be $1 trillion company. If you think Bitcoin's going to win in the future, strategies, it's so sound on its financial products. It's so sound in terms of its strategy. No pun intended. It's so sound in terms of what it's doing. Its debt structure is so minimal, this company. It's so minimal debt structure. It's like a 9% compared to their Bitcoin stack. And the talk of like Strategy is going to have trouble paying the dividend payments on their preferred stocks. They're not going to have trouble with it. Strategy wouldn't get in trouble unless Bitcoin dropped to $13,000. Do you think there's a universe where Bitcoin's going back to 13,000? I don't. So you're talking about one of the most sound, brilliant moves on the financial freaking atmosphere, planet, universe made by Michael Saylor, man. Hats off. So I'm with him through and through, despite what he's been going through with the MNAV dropping or whatever. Like, Strategy's a long-term winner, man. I will take profits when it hits the price targets that I'm looking for, but it is a long-term winner in my viewpoint. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. And I just love what Saylor's doing. I love what Tom Lee is doing. Like, these are innovators of our time that are changing the landscape. And what I admire most about Michael Saylor is that he entered Wall Street when he wasn't even a voice or had a place at the table. And he boldly went into it with his conviction and knowing of Bitcoin. Tom Lee had a place at the table. He already had Wall Street's ear, which is why he's accelerating his growth. If you look at the treasury of Ethereum, treasury of BM&R with Ethereum in it, and how fast it's growing, you look at their treasury is growing at over 10 times the speed of what Strategy was able to grow their Bitcoin by. And that just shows you that a mover in the marketplace who already had pole position, who has already had Wall Street there, who already had the connections and the communication lines, the moment he opened up and said, I'm doing this, he had such an amount of capital, he had such an amount of trust, he had such an amount of Wall Street already in the game, believing with him. And so they just went in with him, and that's the acceleration of BM&R. And that's why nobody is going to catch BM&R. It ain't happening. No, they're going to dust every other freaking ETH treasury company. And nobody's catching Strategy either. So I like to bet on the winners. I like to bet on the number ones. That's why I'm invested in both of them. And I'm very, very excited for the future. And I really want this to be a great week for all of you. I want it to be a win, and for everybody to win this week, because it's been rough. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's been rough. It's been all over the place. Yeah, back in April, we went through hell with the tariffs and Strategy dropping down to $230. We went through hell recently with the liquidations of $19 billion of liquidations in the marketplace with crypto, the biggest ever in history. COVID was what? When COVID happened, it was like $1 billion of liquidations, 19 times the size of COVID. So we've been through hell. But you know what? The upside reward for those who hold through volatile times that go down as much as up, when you hold through the times, then the volatility on the upside can be extremely rewarding. And so you don't get that upside win without the downside volatility. You just don't. There's not a world where that exists. So I hope it serves you. I hope you're winning. I hope you crush it the next 60 days for you and your families, and you just win big. And I want you to win big, and I can't wait to celebrate with you. And my postulate, my decision is that we're going to win in the next 60 days. And I hope that comes to fruition. I believe it will come to fruition. And, I could be wrong, so don't put your bets on what I say. I'm just planning on it for my future. And if we don't hit in the next 60 days, I think we have a strong future in 2026 then, okay? So ultimately, let's go do it. Let's crush it. Go get my book and subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber. It's free down below. Go grab the book. And then once you get the book, we will send out this week my trading strategy of how I am picking up. I am picking up so much BM&R right now. It's it's on sale right now. That's how much BM&R I'm picking up. It's low. I've been picking it up in the 40s. When it went all the way down to the 40s in September, I was picking up massive amounts of shares of BM&R. Okay. So I already had my stack, and then I add to it and add to it and add to it by trading, which is freaking amazing. So when you opt in for the book, you'll get on my list. And later this week, we'll be sending out the trading strategy probably in the next 48 hours. Okay. All right. Hope you're well. Stay well. Have an incredible day. Share some good news with your friends and keep the hope, keep the faith. You guys are amazing. Love being here with you.